ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ. The plight of the Gurkhas. Today we have come together to understand why the Gurkhas feel they should be going on yet another hunger strike. These people that sometimes gave their lives for the freedoms and liberties that we enjoy today are being forced to hunger strike once again. Why? Because they're not receiving any justices from none other than our very own government of the United Kingdom. The Sikhs stand today with the Gurkhas of Nepal. As you all know, and most of the world has experienced, especially during COVID, Sikhs stand up and help those in need. They stand for justice and fairness for all, irrespective of colour and creed. Sikhs are known to stand up against oppression. And today, the Sikhs have united with the Gurkhas and are standing with them shoulder to shoulder. As today, the Gurkhas' plight is not much different from the Sikhs that fought in the world wars that have enabled us to enjoy the freedoms we enjoy. I have a very learned panel that I would like to introduce you to, and I will start off with Gyan Raj Rai, the lead of the Gurkha Satyagraha. Mr. Alan Merkel Sankar, CEO of UK Nepal Friendship Society, Dr. Krishna Adhikari, Research Fellow at Oxford University and founder of the Centre for Nepali Studies UK, Balwinder Singh Chahal, Vice Chair, Sikh Council and Board Member of Nanaksar Gurdwara Sahibs, Harjap Singh Ji, Community Leader, Sikh Sevadar and Chair of the Council of Southampton Gurdwaras. And last but not least, Dr. Malibia Rai, who served for over 25 years as a Gurkha in personnel support and various other roles. So first and foremost, I'd like to welcome you all, gentlemen, to Sangat TV. Thank you for joining us today. As I've already alluded to, the Gurkhas, again, are being forced by Her Majesty's government to fight for their rights as they feel like they've been discriminated against once again. And I'm going to turn to Gyan Raj Rai to give us some background on why we're taking this step and why we're here today. So Gyan Raj Rai ji.
Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to explain why I'm prepared. Not only me, three of us are prepared to go hunger strike to death. Everybody know that in 207 years, the intellectuals, historian, still searching, finding out that there may be over 800,000 Gurkhas served for the British in the army. In the 207 years, many thousand died. Over 200,000 died. Many hundred were wounded and they suffered when they returned back to Nepal. And as they were given very low salary, and before 1947, there was not any pension at all. And even after 1947, they treated giving us very minimum of salary, even 3 to 3% of pension in comparison to the British counterparts. So as we are discriminated in monetary terms or even every facilities, we could not educate our children. So in Nepal, we are in a very backwarded situation. Everybody know that our social, political, financial, cultural, almost everything has been destroyed. And after long campaign, hard campaign, we managed to get only the settlement right to settle in UK. Now, we believe there are around 18,000 Gorkhas settling, but most of them are very elderly people who served during the Malaysian confrontation during 60s.
Right.
They are at the age of 75 or in average of 75 years of old. So they are the most vulnerable people. They are without any children. Their children are working dirty, difficult, and dangerous jobs in Saudi Arabian countries, Malaysia, and in other third world countries. So when their parents are in the UK, they can't speak good English. They are very frail and old. They can't do proper shopping. They can't do cooking. And especially, it's very difficult for them to get the hospital appointments. They can't say how badly they are suffering. And once hardly they get the medication, they can't use properly. So that they are really suffering. And they are crying like being alone into a cave. So which I cannot see. I have been fighting for equal right and justice for the last 22 years on my own expense. And I finished everything. And I cannot just see them crying and suffering like that. Many hundred of children, they are calling from abroad that when can we see our parent in the UK? So it's so bad to see them. I can't look out for myself. And luckily there are many social organizations. They are helping us voluntarily. But if we could get our rights, the pension and some compensation, we would happily go back to Nepal and stay over there with dignity. So the British government is sitting us, lying us. Our Nepalese government is almost like they are making us like stateless. Hardly now they are initiating the dialogue, but British government is lying and I believe they are abusing the poor country's government or powerless government of Nepal. And it's so shameful. It's a matter of dignity of the country, sovereignty of the country, and which, as I said before, which is not manageable to cope all the time. So I had already decided to go for hunger strike and did for 14 nights and 15 days as well in 2013, but they cheated us. They made certain recommendations, but which were not 100% what we actually wanted. And now, after 7 years, again, the Nepal government asking to come forward for dialogue to resolve the Gorkha problem once and for all. But as I said, they are trying to escape. So this time, not allow them to escape away or to come forward for the dialogue on the table. We are forced to go to the hunger strike unless they come for the dialogue and unless they are prepared to resolve it through the diplomatic dialogue. We will be starting the hunger strike from the July. But first 13 days will be relay hunger strike to give them some chances to understand on the name of 13 Victoria Cross holders, BC. We have got 13 BCs on their name. Every 24 hours, there will be 2 or 3 people doing relay hunger strike. If that does not work, then myself and Mr. Dhan Bahadur Gurung and Mrs. Pushpa Rana Ghale, 3 of us will be sitting for hunger strike to death because we cannot bear any further.
Right, we've just heard from Gyan Raj Rai, a veteran, somebody that's fought in the world wars. And while he would have been fighting, he would have lost many of his colleagues. And their families should have been treated well, they should have been given pension rights, they should have been treated with all the dignity that British veterans were treated with. And unfortunately, in this particular scenario, here we have the Gurkhas again saying we're going to have to go on hunger strike because we're separated from our loved ones. We want to see our children. We're not able to see our children. Our children are having to hold down menial jobs, low-paying jobs in order to survive. All we ask is we fought for Her Majesty's government, UK. Please treat us the same. Treat us equally. Treat us well. Give us our pension rights. Get rid of those historic injustices and all the plight that we have suffered. Listen to us. Come to the table. Give us a fair hearing and give us our rights. And do not continue to exploit us. And that's some of the background into why we are here today. And the grievances that the Gurkhas have against Her Majesty's government and their officials, and what's happened to them to date. Now, as a British-born citizen who was born after the war, I sit here and I am extremely grateful for the freedoms that I enjoy today. And I understand and appreciate, and I'm thankful that it's because of gentlemen like Gyan Raj Rai and many, many others, Sikhs and Gurkhas alike, that gave their lives, that gave up their freedoms, that today you and I are enjoying ours. So I really think we should support their cause and stand behind them. Now, from there, I'm going to go on to the Sikh community to try and understand why is it that the Sikh community is standing with the Gurkhas today. So I'm going to turn to Harjap Singh Ji, who, as we said before, is the chair of the Council of Southampton Gurdwaras, a community leader and a Sikh Sevadar. So Harjap Singh Ji, can you enlighten us a little bit more, please?
Well, I know some of my good brothers, and we discuss these problems, and not just once, many times, in various meetings, where Sikhs has suffered the similar fate as the Gorkha brothers has been suffering, and they have been working for the British forces over 200 years that I know of, and they've been dying equally, no less than the British counterpart. And of course, they suffered historic discrimination, Sikhs and Gurkhas and others alike. And if you go look into the history, it comes to foods, the weapons, the uniforms, and the living quarters. If you look into all that, you will see, or you will not actually believe this sort of thing has happened throughout the history. However, in this modern world, and we still see the veterans and their families and other minorities suffering in Britain, racism and discrimination regularly in a daily life. And only recently we have been fought in the Gurkhas in the Kent area, where they have been suffering, the veterans' families have been suffering racism and racial attacks, physical attacks, and various other ways which we all experience living in Britain. However, it has got better, and because we suffered the similar fate as Gorkha brothers, and I think what Gyan Rai has said is absolutely right. and they're going on hunger strike, which is a shame in multicultural Britain. Still minorities, people like Gurkhas and veterans who served the country for hundreds of years, themselves and their families are suffering poverty and other discrimination in pensions and the wages they're given. And when they retire, then their pension are judged on the in the country they live in on their living standards. Well, anybody get an equal pension. They can, like a British, they can live in other countries and make their lives better, as we all do. Wherever is cheaper to live in, we do move in to make our lives better, not for the government or the employers, to save money. And I think if they want to live in Nepal, they should be supported with equal pension, and they are given in to British counterparts, British brothers, so that they can enjoy their rest of their lives better, because the foreign soldiers, Gurkhas and Sikhs and Indian troops alike, and from Africa, if you imagine lying in the trenches, nobody used to ask them where you are from. Nobody asked them what nationality you are, and they equally suffers and they bleed and sacrifice themselves. Ultimate sacrifice is to die in a battle. Now, but this has been they have been doing, and on top of that, it's legendary. The Sikhs and Gurkha brothers, they have fought very bravely. There's lots of examples of that, but they're not properly recognized within the community. So doing the extra, showing the extra bravery, you have to go extra high. So which means risk your life extra above the others' normal jobs. So therefore, if they deserve at least equal treatment, if not better, there's no good giving a 10 stars, but you need to show appreciation by making their lives better and more affordable, not subject them to the poverty and the separation from their children and their families. So I think they should have enough pension equal to the British soldiers, same as anybody else, because they do the equal service plus, and so they deserve it. I think whether it's the Sikhs or Gurkha brothers or veterans or other employees from other countries who particularly risk their lives for the freedom we enjoy today. And I think only right that they are treated at least equally. Now, Sikhs believe in justice and equality for all. And that's why we stood shoulder to shoulder with our Gurkha brothers, no matter what happens. And it's just not the Gurkhas. I think any undertrodden community. I will not be a Sikh if I don't stand up with the undertrodden people who are not being treated equally or racially being abused or they are exploited. Now that's not right. And I think British values don't allow that. So therefore, if the British values don't allow it, then we need to put them into practice. So we appeal to the Maltese government and armed authorities, by the defense ministry, that they must treat their own soldiers with dignity, with respect. And I think is only right. And we will, as Sikhs, we will stand with our Gurkha brothers because they've been suffering for a long time. There was a long struggle and a long fight for justice. Now, they shouldn't have to fight two battles. One is in armed forces in different countries, Iraq, Afghanistan, and many other countries. And second is to just achieve their basic human rights in Britain. That is completely wrong. I think they deserve proper justice, and immediately they should be justice should be given into them. Their rights should be preserved, defended, and this hunger strike, which is looming, why should they have to actually die just to get their own basic human right, which we take it for granted living in Britain?
Thank you, Harjap Singh Ji. I completely agree with your sentiments. No one in 21st century Britain should have to go on a hunger strike to get what they rightly deserve. They fought in the battles shoulder to shoulder with the British Army personnel and veterans. Nobody was looking at their colour and creed or what country they came from or what the standard of living was they enjoyed in their country. All they were looking at was they're fighting a battle for freedom of mankind. And they fought shoulder to shoulder. So why the discrepancies now? Why are they not treated the same today? And now I'm going to move on to Dr. Krishna Adhikari, Research Fellow at Oxford University. Dr. Adhikari, can you shed some more light on this point? I know you're heavily involved with the Gurkha community, and you're also the founder of the Centre for Nepali Studies UK.
Thank you for having me. Yes, we have been doing some research from the Centre for Nepali Studies UK on Gurkhas' pays and pensions, and we even published reports. Even those reports were submitted to the British government when they had this Gurkha hearing. The first thing I would like to say is that after the 2009 court's winning, as well as changes in the immigration policy in the UK, allowing Gurkhas with 4 years of services to come here, many people who like to support Gurkha might think that, okay, there are no problems with Gurkha at all. And that's kind of the assumption, which I think needs to be, we need to create a kind of awareness to the fact that what Gyanraj just explained, what our Sikh friends just explained, that there is a catalogue of discriminations Gurkha face during their service, especially we're talking about the Gurkha veterans, because we have got basically 3 types of Gurkhas, if you like to see that way. One are serving Gurkhas since 2007 have been receiving more or less equal treatment in terms of their pay and pension provisions. And there's a large group of pensioners, Gurkhas, who during their service got very little pay compared to their British counterparts. Their duration of service was, only the fraction of their service in Hong Kong was counted when, they were allowed to transfer to the different pension schemes. And there are thousands of non-pensioners who served even on the Second World War without any pension. And many of them were asked to go home when the war they were engaged in was over. So that means they, even if they had 8, 9, 10 years of services, they had no entitlements. They were given only a few pounds and asked to go home. So they are relying on so-called welfare pension. This is basically not pension, just a £40 or so, the charity money provided by welfare trust. So there is so much injustice and discrimination faced by these Gurkhas, and they have been campaigning to right these wrongs meted out to them so that they can live with dignity and sense of equality. Many Gurkhas, I think about half of those entitled have moved to UK, and the British government's justification for discrimination are ludicrous, basically. They say because you have been living in Nepal, where the cost of living is supposed to be low, so you should survive with little money. But so many of them have already moved to UK. So that justification no longer holds the ground. And Gorkha, this time, Gyanraj Rai and his groups, so far as I understand, had to go this far, even willing to take their own lives this is not necessarily any hungry strike per se. They're terming it as a satyagraha, in the tool Mahatma Gandhi used in India as seeking truth. Basically, they want to seek the truth. They want to establish it. They want everybody know that, the plight they and their comrades are having. So the demand is very simple this time. Please, British government and Nepal government, be serious about our concerns. We already have collected our demands. There was a tripartite technical team participated by British officials, Nepali officials, and Gorkhas, and they synthesized the demands into 13 concise points. Please look at them and engage in serious dialogues. That's the demand they have at the moment. And British government, in the pretext of one or another lies, I would say, many of the excuses used are the colonial era instrument, the so-called tripartite agreement of 1947, which has been used and misused so many times to serve the convenience of the powerful parties, and to say that, no, you agreed to serve and that terms is, to me, this looks like, somebody who was, treated as a slave in the past. Now you're saying to them that, okay, you agreed to be slave, is completely unjustified. I've heard about the positive discrimination. Yes, positive discrimination to redress the, the injustices of the past to the party that was victim. But it is very hard to fathom and understand the negative justifications, negative discriminations. So that's, what Gorkha have been to the receiving end. So I think, to summarize this, this is very, very unfair, and I think we all need to support Gorkhas, and I hope the British government will give proper attention so that the Gorkhas don't have to go, this far for satyagraha.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Krishna Adhikari. Again, laws can be changed and often are changed. What were prehistoric laws dating back to the 1940s or possibly beyond, we all know, can be reviewed, refined, and taken to Parliament and changed to give us a fair and justice system for all. Just as we entered Europe and now we've left Europe, in exactly the same fashion, this law too can be changed. Change is progressive, and more often than not, change is good. So I would say to anybody listening today that it's only right and fair that the Gurkhas have equal rights. Now, I'm going to move on to Balwinder Singh Chahal, who I know has also been very active in this movement, Vice Chair of Sikh Council, and also on the board of the Nanak Gurdwara Sahib Ji. So if I can have your views, please, Balwinder Singh Ji Chahal.
Okay, ji, Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa,
Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
First of all, I just want to say from my side as well, is because from my village, from my family and my relatives, mom's side great grandfather fought in the war, for the British. Then my father, cousin sister lost her husband in the Second World War and the Burma War, and then I know the guy is no more. He was promoted to Subedar from our village, from our clan. And after the war, British won the war, both sides, here or in the eastern front. But then they were asked to be demoted to Haldar. And the guy I'm talking about, his name was Subedar Dalip Singh. He refused to take demotion. Instead, he resigned. I still feel like where I live near my area, the ex-soldiers were given free housing, everything over here. And they were made like, if they were living single, they were like put into the single, a single story bungalows and this and that, not far from where I live. Now it's developed for the other people, and so many pensions, and they were living and walking and going shopping at the pubs with pride. But now what we hear from the Gorkhas, first I only knew they had like refused immigration or staying here, like as Gyan Raji said. is they're supposed to go back to Nepal after they finish their service. And 2009 they were granted the right, but now all the things are here is heartening. And being a Sikh, because as you know, Sukhjinder ji and as our Guru Nanth Pasha Guru Tegh Bahadur Sahib ji walked all the way to Delhi only to what you call protect the basic human rights of the public of India, majority Hindu then, not for himself, for the Hindus. And some of his followers lost their lives. So it is only fit for Sikhs, for us, like if we hear any injustice done, or like people are fighting for their basic human rights, and this particularly in this country where the government or the many people stand up and they're saying, oh, they are fighting for democracy and basic human rights around the world. But I think it's a hypocrisy. They should like sort of their house first, and they should pay proper pension and all they could are to the Gorkha ex-soldiers or the new soldiers going to retire, and I think Gyan Raji and his colleagues should not be gone on hunger strike. If they can pass the emergency laws here now, they announce them before, then they go to the parliament to, get the voting done. Why can't they do on this? So I'm in support of Gorkhas, and we can go all the way. Any support is needed by them, or even other communities, So being Sikh, we are standing, as Harjal Singh ji says, shoulder to shoulder with them. So I still say, please, British government or government of Majesty should listen and do and sort out these problems quickly as possible, so they don't need to go on hunger strike. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We've just heard, and as I can rightly say, racism is not simply black and white. It takes many colours, many forms, many shapes. And sadly, so many of us are affected by it every single day of our lives. And on that point, I'm now going to turn to Dr. Malubia Rai, who served in the forces for over 25 years. If you can give us your viewpoint on this matter, please.
Yeah, first of all, namaskar to everybody. Very good to see you all. I was giving my introduction earlier, but there was a bit of introduction in the middle. So I complete that first. Yes, I have served 25 years in the British Army, and I've retired literally, it's just over a year ago now, in 2020 February. So at the moment, I'm not doing anything. I'm looking for a job, not very seriously though, but I'm writing because my hobby, and I write a lot, so I'm writing. And of course, on the Gurkhas, and also my research is Gurkhas' hierarchical position in the British Army. That's my research. So, first of all, thank you for having me and giving this opportunity on this platform. A little bit of background. Although Gyanraj Dai has, said a lot, and probably better as well as us, if not better. So there is no need to give a background. However, one thing I will say is, once Professor Sir Ralph Turner, the poet, the great, he led Gurkhas in the Great War. He said, "Bravest of the brave, the most generous of the generous. Never had the country more faithful friend than you." What does this mean? That's the highest, word one can ever offer to one, or we can. That's highest word, highest degree of word we can offer to our friend. Where is it gone? Since Professor Ralph Turner said that, you can still see that 4-line stanza on the pedestal of the Gurkha statue in the Gurkha statue in Whitehall in London still fresh. But you know, those words are just limited in the words, not in action.
Mhm.
So what is the situation now is, you know, more than half, not more than half, I would say half of the veterans, Gurkha veterans who fought great wars and Malayan War and Kosovo, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Falkland, you know, those veterans are in Nepal. Half of them are in Nepal. Half of them, mostly half of them, have come to the UK once, you know, this resettlement, Gurkha's resettlement policy was reviewed. Those half are there not because they don't want to come here. Yes, some of them they don't want to come here, so they've got own problem to stay in Nepal. But mostly, they do not even have money to pay the visa fee. That's the situation of the Gurkha veterans who fought for the British. That's very unacceptable situation of the Gurkhas at the moment. Very, very heart touching, soul searching. So, British, as Dr. Krishna and Gyanraj Dai already elucidated, the British kept not, I wouldn't say lying. They tried to solve the problem. We appreciate that, and they've done that, but it is a half-done job.
Right.
It is a half-done job. Myself, I joined in 1993. I joined in February 1993. But what happened was in after September 1993, their full service will count towards the pension. But unfortunately, my service in Hong Kong, I served from 1993 to 1997 in Hong Kong, 4 years. Those 4 years service is counted as 1 year, 3 months, 29% of the service. It's very ridiculous. It's preposterous to calculate one's service not as a full service. The justification is even ridiculous. Justification is you didn't serve for the Queen. You serve in the Far East. What's the justification? Is that something? Can we accept that? So this is all thing. Yeah, we understand. We are not dumb. We understand the position of the British government that they have to draw a line. They have to draw a line somewhere. They must. Otherwise, they have to keep going on and on and on. Even they did. Let's say that there is no, there is no line to draw. They kept continue solving the problem, solving the crises. How far would they go? That means most of the Gurkha veterans have died. Now, only like in the Gurkha Justice Campaign, there were 12,000 Gurkhas began the campaign. Now, only 6,000 to 7,000 Gurkhas, not even less than that. More of them died. So now the British government, either they are waiting all the Gurkhas to die, or they are just ignoring the fact that Gurkhas are in a very difficult situation, or the injustice is there from the British government. So the obvious reason to the core question is, why hunger strike now? The obvious reason is the Gurkhas have done everything they could. They went to the European court they went to the highest high court in the UK.
Yeah.
Probably there's no stone remained unturned.
Turned.
So the only option now, as a last resort, is hunger strike. As Dr. Krishna said, hunger strike is not really hunger strike; it's a satyagraha. It is a demand for truth. So to to reach that stage, it is not our wish. It is not our hobby, or it is not our kind of um, uh, I don't know what's the word. Uh, so this is our obligation
Your
to.
hand is being forced basically because you have no other outlet. You've tried everything else,
Yes,
and
exactly.
it's not worked for you. So
Yes,
I
exactly.
understand the sentiments of the Gurkhas, particularly the older veterans, who are now saying, "Okay, well then this is the answer." But someone of British born, raised in the UK, I would say no. Nobody should have to go on a hunger strike.
Exactly. So that's the situation created by the British government, I would say. Our Gurkha campaigners are voluntarily have come forward to strike to stage a hunger strike uh, beginning shortly. I wouldn't like to go into further details. Alan is there, Ganda is there to say about it. So that's the situation. And to sum up, when I do the Gurkha bit, I really would like to thank you, the Sikh community coming together and helping us. Since my thesis was about the Gurkhas, then I have written a lot about Sikh and Gurkhas. And Gurkhas have fought with Sikh. Well, Ranjit, the first Gurkha who lost the Sikh war and went to Ranjit Singh's army and those kind of things. So they and later on in Italy, when I went to battlefield tour, I saw the battlefield where Gurkhas and Sikh, they fought along with the British, and in a particular hill, I forgot the name of the hill, where many Sikh died and Gurkhas died there. So we share the history. We share the history now. Together with us, I'm very appreciative. Thank
Well,
you.
we are renewing the history because we need to stay together with our British counterpart, make us one community. Alan has worked hard to create one community, Hampshire, Dorset. I hope we're going to hear from him in a minute. But he done work wonder. And I think now the Sikh history is that Guru Gobind Singh joined 5 individuals from different backgrounds to make a Khalsa. That means that we all are human beings. We must work together. And I think that's a bit for that. But can I just say one extra little bit, which I missed out, was that the Gurkhas and Sikhs, this history, they said they fought very bravely, and the war's outcome, First World War, Second World War outcome, could have been different if the Gurkhas and Sikh soldiers weren't there. One fighting with them, Indian force wasn't there.
True.
Minority force wasn't there. The outcome would have been completely different.
True.
Our history is buried in archives. Why isn't being taught in schools to our children, to the British children or European children, to teach them that we are all brothers, we are all human beings, we fought together, we died together, we bled together, suffered together, minorities more so than British counterpart, because obviously because of discrimination and prejudices at that time, and it's still happening now. But I think is about time the British government, education authorities start teaching the histories of Gurkhas, the Sikhs, Indian forces, and the people, army or personnel from different parts of the world, so
Sure.
that teach them equality, justice, and peace for all, and the human rights for all as well. We are preaching it to the other world, but we need to practice, like Babinda said, start from home. Let's start it. Okay, we can, what happened in the past, we can't change it. But we can change our future. We can teach our kids how to live together, but we can only do that when our true history is presented in schools and curriculum in a daily life.
It's a good
Until
point.
children learn that, and we will never achieve equality. So that need to be added, and about time is done so, without fail. There's no no second to be lost, really, as far I'm concerned, as far Sikhs are concerned, as far Gurkhas are concerned, as all minorities are concerned. Their history must be put in the curriculum for their children and the host community children to learn, so that we can live together in multicultural Britain. That's the only way we can achieve equality, justice for all.
Totally agree.
Thank you. Mr. Alan Merkel-Sanker, CEO for UK Nepal Friendship Society. Thank you for waiting so patiently. And just one quick question to you before you go in and say what you need to say. Is the UK being fair and inclusive?
The UK government is not being fair and inclusive, and I define the UK government as not necessarily the elected officials, the people in Westminster or even in Downing Street. It's the people who have the real power, which are in the Whitehall departments, the permanent secretaries, the chief operating officers of UKVI, these sort of people, they are, I would say, minorities and culturally related, culture context, inexpert. And I'm being very polite there. One could say very ignorant. One could say even that they are attached. Some of these people with great power are attached to prejudice, backward-looking colonial era perspectives. And I think the whole story of how our Gurkhas have been treated and omissions of our Sikh history, our Gurkha history, Nepali history, the Windrush are examples of that. So I would say to anyone, and I'd address this to the permanent secretaries in the MOD, the Home Office, etc., more than the ministers are, strangely, I would say your record speaks for itself, and it's quite shameful, but you may just be simply ignorant about diversity, diverse communities, such as our Sikh, our Nepali Gurkha communities, and what they have brought and bring to this country. They need some serious education being applied, I think, with those very, very powerful but often shadowy figures. Thank you. I hope that's all right as my answer. Just going right to the point here.
It is indeed. And how do you think we should change? What could we do differently?
Right. This is so to go back to our Gurkha injustices. This is a multi-agency, multiple departments, multiple level phenomenon and problem. It is not within the remit of just one government department at lower or middle ranking officials level to be able to sort this out. This is why we've been left, and our poor community of the Gurkha have been left in the ridiculous and shameful plight, and it's shameful to the British name, the shameful plight that they are in today. So moving forward, we do need to look more, I think, in the parliamentary direction with our select committees. The select committees have the power to audit effectively government and government officials, importantly, performance. And to have some sort of an independent, not an internal inquiry into why has this gone so badly wrong. And we mustn't blame them. accidents can happen, but it will be valuable for all of our communities, our Sikh community, our broader Commonwealth communities, to know to pin down the whole story from beginning to end. And I'm going to come back on what my uncle Harjap Ji said a moment ago, and it's something that I found out, and it's definitely true after some years of work on our UK Nepal Friendship Society side. Solidarity from our one community, Hampshire and Dorset, is that education is at the fault of this. The ignorance, that if you don't know the facts, or you only have part of them, some facts and others are left out, you are going to be vulnerable to being prejudiced, to discriminatory, and being a poor citizen, basically. So I do think we need to have an independent investigation, not a witch hunt, but objectively looking at where this all went wrong and how it's progressively gone wrong. And it does need to involve definitely Department for Education and national curriculum reform. And I will tell you, it was a lovely call I had earlier today with a gentleman who's lead of the Khalsa Primary School in Slough, and learning about how the head teachers, can actually interpret and shape what is taught in the school. So I think it needs to be some grassroots things. So we must look at the education solutions, and the Sikh community with our Gurkha communities, shoulder to shoulder. It changes things. This overpowers the divide and rule realities that have been taking place for all too long. The two communities shoulder to shoulder is phenomenal. And we want to see this deepened. And I want to thank our Sikh community, Harjap Singhji, Balwinder Chahalji here as well, for what they did on the 15th of June in playing an extremely important part in the rally and announcement of hunger strike that took place under Gurkha Satyagraha on that day. I want to thank that, having written in, as UK Nepal Friendship Society has also written in solidarity with Gurkha Satyagraha, to the Prime Minister and the Queen. We would say the Queen, the Commonwealth, also has received a letter of putting the heart and in putting the heart of the matter in a very respectful but eloquent way. We've all been working together, and we're excited to take this forward. So just to conclude on from my side on that. We do need to have an investigation, which we cannot deal with this just simply on maybe the pensions are resolved. It needs to be saying what has been going wrong. And I'm going to give you a revelation here that I had, and I've mentioned this before. Dr. Adhikari, obviously Gyanraj, Jules, all of this. When I read the minutes of a meeting, this is going back to 2018, minutes of a meeting from the MOD side with the Gurkha community to help resolve. There was just one section, 2 lines, and it said social issues, or words to this effect. Just 2 lines, social issues. They do not come under the remit of this commission, of this investigation. They're a matter for local government. So social issues are at the heart of what has gone wrong, what is going wrong, and needs to be put right, and it affects our other communities as well. We have that with the Windrush communities. We have that with the Windrush community. We've had it with our Sikh communities. We've recently seen an upsurge in anti-Sikh, 70%, I think it is, in the last few months, increase in anti-Sikh racism in this country. We've had it massively. I've been personally involved on UKNFS with OCHD, One Community Hampshire and Dorset, coming in, thanks to Uncle Harjap Singhji there, giving solidarity when our Gurkha communities, Nepali Gurkha communities, have been being racially abused, attacked in places like Kent and in Swindon before. The solidarity there is so important. So we need to actually look at this afresh and say we also need an investigation with no witch hunt, but looking at it independently to look at all the facets of this. Social issues, everything is about social issues that matter. Humanity is about social issues. And for you having bureaucrats in the MOD to dismiss it and say that's a problem for another government department, local government. Well, that is just pathetic and it's shameful. And we do need our elected ministers to actually be able to see things, to get the lived experience of what it is like to be on the front end of people with power, but little actual knowledge who utter such words. So I could go on. I could talk about the Gurkha DNA scandal. I'd love to talk about that. I'm just on that. I want to mention why that is so important as well.
Sorry,
It's about racism.
Alan, we are out of time. We would love to hear more. Maybe, perhaps we can arrange another session. I'd like to thank you all, gentlemen, for giving your time today for this excellent cause. We all know that a wrong can be put right. So let's plead to the UK government to do exactly that and to provide equal rights for the Gurkhas and for anybody else that fought along aside the British veterans. Thank you all very much again. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.